Hello.
Hello. I was going
How
to
are
say
you?
welcome to you. I was going to be like, welcome, Amy. Welcome to this podcast that you've been doing for nearly 2 years now.
Nearly 2 years, yeah. That is quite scary to think about, actually.
Yeah, it's almost been our entire friendship. How crazy is that?
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Um,
Yeah, and we've had a few bumps along the road, but that's pretty good consistency wise. What did I edit and upload yesterday? 72, episode 72, I think it was.
yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
think getting to 100 will be nice this year.
Hmm. Yeah,
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 and then
yeah.
inevitably falling off of a cliff at some point for some
At
reason or another.
some point. At some point. It's coming, but not right
Yeah,
now.
no, and that's the important thing. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I'm all right. Dog saga is still ongoing for anyone
Hmm.
curious and anyone listening. She's old and she's there. We'll see. Who knows? We're not going to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm trying to think. Oh, a bit of not book news. I'm not trying to drag that old thing up back again.
Oh.
But I heard a lot of people were not happy with the season three finale of Tell Me Lies.
I have not seen any of season three of Tell Me Lies
It
yet because it was not coming out in one go. It was coming out weekly.
Right, right. Amy is I mean, out of the two of us, our resident Tell Me Lies expert. Amy very much was like, oh my God, yes, Liv, you should watch it. Maybe it was in an episode, I don't remember, but I do remember Amy being like, you should watch it, it's great. Alex and I started to watch it, and it was the worst thing we'd ever seen in our whole lives.
I could have been in my luteal phase during that time. We don't know.
True. I think, and the reason I think I've said this to Amy as well, is the reason I just don't believe anything in Tell Me Lies is because the male main character is in no way attractive. So how does he get away with anything?
I don't know, and I have read the book, and that is a big plot point that the first time she meets him, she doesn't think he's like extremely attractive, and he hasn't written conventionally attractive. So I have no idea. That's obviously been
Do you know?
poor guy. Like you've been cast in
Oh,
this role.
yes, for
Yeah.
this non-conventionally not attractive asshole.
Exactly. We need you. You're the perfect fit for
Yeah.
this. Um,
Mm.
but I know that is sort of part of it. That idea of how good he is at manipulating her and everyone around him.
You know what? I see it. That's fine. Yeah. As long
Mm.
as and then but also do you and I not complain constantly about the fact that they're just always so attractive?
Hmm.
We can't
We do.
Books cannot win. We are fickle.
We definitely are. I haven't seen it, but I have. I'm not sure how it's managed to go 3 seasons. I'm assuming now we are away from the book and doing our own thing. But season two ended on a big cliffhanger, so I know season three is going to cover that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I
Mm.
mean, let us know if you get to the end of season three how you felt about the ending of
Oh, I
True
will.
Lies. Tell me
I'll let
lies.
you know.
You will. You will. Even though you won't watch it, I will tell you. Um, but yeah. Otherwise, how are you? What are you currently reading?
I am currently reading. Um, alongside what we're going to be talking about next time, I was going to start, I'll be honest, I haven't started it yet, but I was going to start Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf, but it's got
Um,
real mixed reviews.
Sorry, Oh, this is relevant to the podcast. This current interlude. This one.
That's the one. Yeah, he is her ruin, she is his rebellion. Dark dystopian romance. I love dystopian books, so I thought, yeah, give that a go.
It's it's massive. Oh well, it's
Yeah.
about 500 and something pages, but yeah, it was recommended to me as what Silver Elite should have been.
Yes, exactly. Because we didn't even pick up Silver Elite. We were talking about it because we planned to do it, I think, and then we didn't. But I feel like every book I'm reading right now, especially if it's a book that is currently being talked about, I'm like, oh, hang on, maybe we should do this for the podcast. So I feel like I'm constantly second guessing myself. So that is quite new, that one. So we could maybe do it for the pod.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, maybe we just maybe I feel the same sometimes, but then I think no, this one's just for me.
If you want to smash it, if you want to read it really, really quickly, which we both often do, then sometimes it's easier just to go for it. Yeah. So I've kind of slowed down on another book that we may potentially do for the podcast and picked up something else because I don't only like to read the podcast book. I like a little summon on the side.
Yeah, I like my love and then my mistress on the side. Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
I'm I'm still reading Zodiac Academy, so I'm not in. Yeah, there are lot, but the problem is with a tandem read, you're reading two books at the same
Mhm.
time. I know that's stupid to say that again. Everyone knows that. That's what I'm doing, but obviously I'm reading twice as much,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it feels like a slog to get through. And I'm really not interested in the second book at all. The point five, the filler book. I really don't care.
Oh, so when you get to that point, are you sort of dreading it? Is it like when you read a chapter from someone's POV and you're a bit like, oh, I just want to get back to the main story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, I'm there just skipping. Come on. Yep. I'm getting the gist of this. Yep. Wonder what's happening. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
it's I definitely think obviously the difference between other tandem reads that I've seen is this one isn't necessary. I don't think you need to read this 8.5 or whatever to understand what 9 is. It just fills in some of the blanks of some of the other characters that you don't have because they're dead. So I think it's not necessary plot additions, it's just extra story that I don't care about.
Yeah, well, we talked about Zodiac Academy before, but it's still there. It's still definitely on my list and still think about it. I've got Audible credits. People have said the audiobooks are fantastic. I am still tempted.
Yeah, cannot comment on the audiobooks. Ellen is currently reading them on the graphic audiobooks. She loves them, thinks they're great. So, yeah,
I've heard
cannot.
heard good things. Heard good things. So I don't know. One day that will happen. But I'm just rubbish with audiobooks. I don't find them very, I don't know, I'm not great at doing something else and concentrating fully on the book. I have to just sit and listen, and then I find sitting in one place and listening quite quite challenging. So
Well, you just kind of sat there, don't you? You just look like a bit
mm,
of a lemon, just fucking
hmm
sat there on the couch, just like
exactly. It's easier if you're traveling. I think if you're on a flight or something, it makes a bit more sense. But otherwise, if I'm listening to one and then I get distracted and go and do something else, I don't tune in enough. Never
first world problems, eh? Shall we move on to the book of the day?
mind. Books
Or
of
the
the day.
Oh, of course, I keep forgetting. Yep. Um, so Amy and I read this book and intended to record it as sort of a double episode, like or like a double record a couple of weeks ago, and we've sort of time got in the way. But this will still come out when it's meant to, so nobody panic. Yeah, so then we read one and it was a little short, and then we thought, do you know what? Amy said, I quite like this. I'm gonna go and read the second or like another one, and I said, yeah, all right, I'll go do that. So we're sort of bringing you a double episode, but we had very clear opinions on the second book that we read, so it's sort of a you get a 1.5 episode
It's a
perhaps.
1.5 because we're going to focus
Yeah,
on the first one and we're going to do all the usual stuff that we do and just dissect it and do the reviews and everything else. And there's a summary. But for the second one, we're not quite giving it our all. It's just a little add-on because we read it and we thought it'd be worth talking about.
agreed. So with that in mind, Amy, which book slash books have we read this week?
So we have read Strange Houses by Uketsu, and
Hmm.
we've also read Strange Pictures by Uketsu.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Do we smash straight into some trigger warnings and then I'll
Yes. Okay, I'll do them for both. So Strange Houses, we have graphic, severe content, child abuse, child death, murder, physical abuse and confinement, incest, body horror, violence, suicide, suicidal thoughts, psychological manipulation, cult-like traditions, curses, and uncomfortable family dynamics.
sorry, I'm trying not to laugh, but it's like 200 pages long. It's such a long trigger warning list for such a tiny book.
I know. And if you'd asked me, like, what are the triggers in that without me actually like writing them all down, I'd be thinking, oh, I don't know. I don't know. But there's
I'd probably
lots.
been all right. I'd have probably been like child abuse, child
Hmm.
death,
Cult.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. Sorry, strange pictures.
Murder and death, child abuse, violence, sexual violence, abuse of a pregnant woman, pregnancy in general, torture, mutilation, suicide, mental illness, emotional abuse.
Yeah, so as you can tell, Strange Pictures is a comedy and Strange Houses isn't. Flippin' heck. Um, if this is your first foray into shelf indulgence, I suppose it will
Hmm.
be. Excellent. Sorry, we're still getting used to it. Shelf indulgence, formerly page turners. Um, we're sorry. This is not. We don't always do books about torture and child abuse and child confinement. It just
No.
there seems to be themes running through both of these books. So yes,
Hmm.
um, and obviously, because we weren't expecting to do Strange Pictures, I've done the summary for Strange Houses, and we thought, you know what, we'll leave Strange Pictures as a little, you don't need the full summary for that. We'll do a little, you'll get bits of it, and then you can actually go and read it yourself and have the full thing.
Exactly. And I think we've got very sort of different feelings about Strange Pictures compared to Strange Houses, which might give you an idea as to why we were so keen to read it. And now we're not that bothered about talking about it.
Yes, yes, and the way Amy's pitched that, it makes you already realise what those feelings are. Um, so yeah, right. Count me down, Amy, and then I'll do the summary.
Okay, three, two, one, go.
Our main character, just named Author, is asked by a friend to look at a floor plan for a house they might buy. The house is revealed to hold many secrets, and we are drawn into an intense investigation with pictured floor plans that revolve around a supposed family curse or cult that makes the elder members convinced they have to imprison their children, to imprison the children born missing their left hands, and make offerings by killing descendants of their branch family. The author, their friend Kurahara, who is an architect, and then a member of the cursed family trying to find her sister, who is part of this murder house family, Yuzuki, are investigating together. There are many other houses with hidden rooms and passages allowing murder to occur that we see on floor plans, and the mystery itself is sort of left open-ended when the architect theorizes that a letter sent by Yuzuki's sister's husband is a fraud, and he could have actually been dead the whole book, as there is an unidentified corpse in chapter one. That's it. And I can only apologize. This is probably the worst written summary I've ever done. So,
This is probably the hardest book we have ever read to summarize because it's very short. So you would, and I felt like that when I was reading it, that I was completely on board for quite a lot of the book. And then it kind of fell off a cliff in terms of the thread of the story. And then I kind of picked it up again at the end. That was even worse for me in Strange Pictures.
yes, strange. I think there's also probably a reason I didn't do Strange Pictures because I wouldn't even know how to go about summarizing Strange
Hmm.
Pictures. Yeah, absolutely not.
Hmm.
Should we, not getting ahead of ourselves, should we talk a little bit about Uketsu and who they are, or
Hmm.
who we maybe think they are? So they're a Japanese sort of YouTuber originally and an author, but their identity is completely unknown. They have like a black morph suit type
Mm.
thing, and then they wear a sort of very small white mask that's almost baby like in a way. It's quite,
Yeah, it's
but
quite
it's
creepy.
but it's sort of, it looks like a paper mache project that you do when you were
Yeah.
in like primary school. And I'm not shitting on them. It's yeah. Um, so they create sort of weird, not weird, surreal films, write mystery and horror fiction essentially, and they love to create novels and short stories that have diagrams and physical sort of representations of what they're talking about in the narrative. So these books are translated
Mhm.
from Japanese. And it's an interesting one. So, in terms of chronology, Strange Houses was written first, but Strange Pictures was translated first. And that's why
Hmm.
I sort of was like, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad we read Strange Houses first, just in case they happen to be because is Kurahara is in the
Hmm.
second book as well in Strange Pictures.
Hmm.
They're in college, aren't they?
Yeah, so it does have prequel vibes in a way, but more so, I think it's just that's that character's timeline, and then there are
Yeah,
the stories set throughout the timeline.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think if Strange Pictures had been the first pick, the first Uketsu book that I'd read, I don't know if I would necessarily have felt it was for me, that the
yeah,
writing was for me. Whereas I think Strange Houses was really up my street. It was quite, there was a little bit of horror in there, mystery. Yeah, it felt, and it also just felt generally more accessible, that the story
yes,
made
and
sense. I think linearly, probably more so.
oh, 100%. And I think this is something that you and I have spoken about ad nauseum throughout the podcast is sort of getting people into fiction or
Hmm.
into different kinds of genres must be the importance of that must be books and genres that are accessible. And this is great. We read in the back of the in the back of Strange Houses, there's a an acknowledgement section or a sort of an afterword by Jim Rion, who is the translator for Uketsu and their novels. And they talk about how in Japan or in Japanese, how they're written, they're still very simplistic to be made accessible. So I
Hmm.
definitely think if you would say to yourself, oh, I don't know if I could do something with pictures, that seems quite, do I have to read it in a paperback? I read it on an ebook. Amy, did you go ebook as
Yep.
well? Yeah.
Yep, I went
And
ebook as well.
I don't think that made
I
it
mean,
any
no, they're not like, I don't know, it's not like House of Leaves or anything like that, where you absolutely need the physical copy because you have to read it in a certain way, or you have to look at, manipulate the book or anything like that. The pictures just add to the detail that's lacking in the narrative. A lot of the time, the pictures give you a bit more information that the narrative itself doesn't. So,
I'm sorry, House of Leaves
mhm. Yeah, it's a horror book.
is is it some sort of like visual horror?
Yeah, so it's the whole idea is to kind of keep you unsettled whilst reading it, and there's a lot of like, you read. It's a massive big book. It's huge. It's chunky. I'd love to have it one day, but it's. I think a lot of people say that if you try and read that using an using audiobook or ebook, you just don't get the same experience because it's not made it's made to be read as a physical book. I don't
Right.
think these necessarily are in that respect, that you can get away with reading these on a Kindle or an e-reader. Like it just
Yeah.
adds a bit more detail.
Yeah, and I think what was great is that the pictures themselves aren't, yeah, like Amy said, overly detailed, but then when they're talking about specific so for this one you get an awful lot of floor plans.
Hmm.
Um and you get presented with this floor plan, and the thing I was worried about is them being like me always having to refer to that floor plan. No, all the way through the text, you keep getting the floor plan given to you, and it even like dots or puts a circle around the bits they're talking about. So you don't have to keep going like in a fantasy novel. If you're like, wait, where are they again? Are they here? You don't have to keep skipping to the front or keeping your finger in the map or anything like that. So I thought that was really good. And I also thought because the writing was simplistic and not, flowy, it got to the point of what we were actually talking about, which was, cults and
Yeah.
child imprisonment and sort of family murder. And yeah, what I loved, and I think we've spoken about this as well, is Kurahara's sort of opinion has been taken because he's an architect, and our author, our main character, takes it to him and goes, "Yeah, what do you think? I've got a little bit of an unsettling feeling. So does my mate. What do you think?" And he looks at it and goes, "Do you know what that's for? That's for killing people." Immediately, straight off
Exactly.
the bat.
Exactly. And you're so right. You picked up a detail that I didn't pick up because at first I was like, why would you go there? That makes no sense. Why would someone jump to that conclusion instantly? But when we go to his house and we see, it instantly references that he has lots of like true crime. books everywhere,
Yeah,
so clearly he's just this is his bag. He's instantly going down the route of, yeah, murder house. That's where bodies are
yeah.
disposed of.
He's 100% a true crime girly. He listens to his podcasts, he reads all the true crime novels. Yeah, he's 100% obsessed. So funny. Just like, and even what I love is the author's like, huh? Is it? What? And I don't think he has that moment of like questioning and then he goes, yeah, right, I guess so.
Instantly, and they go with it the whole time. They never really change course. It's always, well, this is a murder house. We just have to work out who's been murdered and who's doing the murdering.
And hey, look, it doesn't happen often, but their first theory is correct. It is a murder house, and there are murderers, and there are other murder houses as well. So yeah, it, it doesn't need you to think too hard. It does the thinking for you. You don't.
Mhm.
You still have your theories and everything. I don't think it doesn't treat the reader as if they're stupid in any way. I
No.
didn't feel patronized. I just felt like the story was being offered to me in its purest form, perhaps.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
it took out all the other bits, all the kind of possible theories, and said, no, don't worry about any of that. This is what it is. And now
yeah.
we're going to find out what our characters do with that information. But they are right. This is what
Yeah,
is going on.
yeah. You don't need to think about any other theories, guys. This is a murder house. And yeah, we're just going to watch these guys get into a wacky scenario where they just,
Yeah,
what they're going to do.
I
um,
know.
we mentioned obviously that this is sort of a horror mystery type thing. Let's talk about the genre of horror and what we know, and how that's sort of applied here. Obviously, we've done a few horror books on the podcast. And we've talked again ad nauseum. I love that word today
Mm.
about the fact that horror is very difficult to convey,
Hmm.
especially in terms of books in a type of media that we would expect in films. So, you don't really get a jump scare with a book. You get an unsettling feeling that stays with you, and that's probably, or you would get a sort of graphic scene that
Hmm.
would provide us with sort of, oh, that would be
Mm.
horror in books to me.
I was quite happy to say this was a horror book at the beginning because I thought it was quite unsettling when you realised, oh, there is something weird about this floor plan, and that
Mm.
isn't something you would necessarily pick up straight away.
Yeah,
But then I think that it definitely, in my opinion, moved away from horror to mystery quite quickly. And then even
yeah.
although it came back to there is something kind of more sort of there's it's a cult. There is some kind of otherworldly stuff going on. It never really came back to feeling like a horror for me again. I didn't get that feeling of feeling unsettled or uncomfortable or anything like that. I did at the beginning. I think the beginning was really
Mm.
strong. It did it well. But then once we moved away from the kind of what's going on and we were told by our characters, this is what's going on, I wasn't unsettled or creeped out. I was just interested to find out what was going to happen and how they were going to come to get to the bottom of it all. So for me, it wasn't really a horror in that sense that I felt that way the whole time.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think once we were sort of one also there was no peril for the three of them in the
Mhm.
sense where like they're uncovering all of this and normally you would expect to be uncovering people killing other people with children. You would think there'd be somebody that would be onto them or chasing them or trying to stop that secret from getting out. And I forgive us if I'm or forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't think there is. There's nobody like going after them or anything. They're very
No.
atypically just able to go to these places and talk to these people and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're killing them because if our kid's born with a missing hand, he gets confined and then he's got to kill all the Branch family because of a curse."
I think because there were parameters to the kills, like the kills weren't just happening, to cover up the story or anything it was quite clear who was being killed because you're right, there was the curse and there was it was particular people they were targeting. Yeah, there was never really any risk of our characters being killed.
I just found that
Hmm.
yeah, that I was like, oh, they're gonna get into it, and but it's like, oh no, yeah, this is what we're doing, and it's sort of like, okay, thanks, I'll take that biscuit to go, thanks, and we'll see you in a bit. Yeah, no, great, we're not gonna tell anyone, and they're like, right, cool, thank you.
Oh, it's hard because it's hard because I did like the element of the puzzles and I enjoyed the twists and who was actually who and why people were involved in the story. And then I really liked when they went to the family home and they started, but it just it lacked. I don't know. I didn't feel fully invested in it because it lacked that peril, it lacked that threat. I didn't feel like it was high stakes enough. It just felt like someone was
Hmm.
telling me about something that had happened and I wasn't experiencing it with the characters. Like they were just finding this out and I was just finding it out with them.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Do you
I
think it
think,
was accessible? And I don't mean that in a like we I don't know, like it's very simple. I think this
mm,
it feels simple to read. Even the dialogue is, I believe it is just written as almost like a script. Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But there were times I was completely lost, and I think it was the ending because it was so sparse at the start that I don't know if I got enough information at the beginning to make the ending clear.
Yeah, so we're told sort of we get this sort of the house is brought to the author for completely accidental reasons. His friends are going to buy it. They want to sort of actually, do we ever get a yeah, no, we do get a gender for the author. It is a man, isn't it?
I think it's Uketsu.
Oh, we're assuming that yeah, okay, fair. Right.
I
Well,
think so. I
fuck
don't
me, right?
know. I when I was reading it,
Um,
I assumed it was, but I have no idea.
fair. Well, egotistical of them putting themselves in their own book. Um, so yeah, so we're just going to assume that the author is a male. I think there is a mention of them being a male. If I'm wrong, apologies. Um, so he sort of is looking at this floor plan, and then there just so happens to be this whole mystery behind it. Um, for me, I think I really enjoyed it because it's different and it was really interesting. I think if you're looking for something different and interesting, it's definitely accessible for that. If you're trying to turn somebody that's not really a big reader into a reader, I think they'd think it was shit.
Mm. And I wonder if the
Not
reviews will reflect that. I'm really keen to hear what people have got to say about it. Yeah.
potentially, yes. I will not spoil anything until we are there. Um, but and I don't mean that I think it's shit. It's not a book that ties everything up in a bow and does the thinking for you, as we discussed before. It allows you to get there, it takes you on that journey, but I do think it leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions that are meant to be sort of up to the reader's interpretation.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to make a wild jump here.
Hmm.
And I do not mean this in an offensive way. Or do I? You decide. It will not appeal to people who I don't know who it's not it's not a Marvel book. It's not like a superhero type thing or like easy plot and like tied up little story.
Hmm.
It needs you I think it's both, right? It doesn't need you to think while you're reading it. It needs you to think after.
Yes, I think you've summed it up really well. That's a great point. You're right. I miss not being able to think whilst reading it. I would have liked more ambiguity. I would have liked more questions and theories. The best part of a mystery for me is that I get to speculate along with the character and learn along
Right.
with the character. And what this took away from me was that ability to do that because I couldn't argue it because it was basically just this is what's happened, by the way. Here's why it's happened.
Yeah. And I think obviously it's being noted down after the fact, um, which I don't think we know until the end.
Which does that lend itself to a mystery story? You know? I
Potentially.
don't know. I
Very,
don't know, especially in like, the way the narrative is that we assume that the author is telling their story. That's how it reads. Um, but I don't know, does that style of writing, kind of going back and basically just recalling events, does that lend itself to a mystery that you then feel invested in? Because I think that's the part
mm,
that I struggled with. I really enjoyed the beginning because I was there with the author thinking like, oh, what could it be? Why is that room there?
yeah.
And then very quickly it became clear that every theory that is put forward here is going to be the right one. So the first thing that they say is what it is, as we've said before. So it felt a little bit like, oh, well, there's no point in me really thinking about it then because it's already decided.
Yeah. And I wouldn't, and I suppose actually this is a really nice time for us to come into Strange Pictures because I feel like that is a bit of an opposite. You aren't Unfortunately, we're going to potentially I'm going to be potentially a little hypocritical here because whilst everything you said was correct, and yes, sure, I want to find those things out, Strange Pictures for me was entirely too far-fetched out of the two.
If we're looking at this on a spectrum, in terms of the capacity that we have to theorize and speculate,
Hmm.
strange houses and strange pictures could not be further away from one another. Because with strange houses, you've got very strict parameters about what's going on. In strange pictures, it's all going on. It's all going on. But I would say that in terms of similarities, they're both as far-fetched as the other, I would say.
True, true. There with Strange Pictures, I would say you definitely get more of a timeline, tiny type jump, and it it sort of it feels more like a reveal as it goes on, and you sort of put the pieces together to be like, oh, well, that set of pictures links to this, and oh, the whole thing links together. So I can definitely applaud Strange Pictures for that. Um, but I think, unfortunately, in the jumping around of Strange Pictures, you have pictures on a blog, you then have people drawing paintings or drawing mountains. You've then got, I'd forgotten the middle one. What's the middle bit? Oh, the kid drawing his apartment and
And
then
there's like a
smudging it.
smudge, yeah.
Yeah. And all those pictures, all those stories fit together. Um, but for me, my mind was just like, what the fuck is going on?
I know.
And each do you know what, that's unfair. The blog one, so you're given for some reason the reason this all starts is because somebody it starts in like a college, and you're the sort of college, and they go to this it's like a mystery club or like a
Hmm.
detective type club where they talk about weird sort of like phenomena and
Hmm.
supernatural things. And our architect from Strange Houses is there as a student, and he's probably one of the only members left of the club. And our main character, or whoever comes, or at least main character of this little bit, comes and says, "Oh, and he's like, "Oh, I found this blog." And you're like, "What?" And then this person then gets the blog and sees all the blog posts, and we're taken through the blog posts, and there's this mysterious last post that's like, to the one I love the most, I know what you've done, I'll never forgive you. um and then these three pictures are then put together. They're three separate pictures that have been drawn by this blog guy's wife
Hmm.
as she's pregnant and as she's having, or as she's about to have the baby. And then they manage to find out what happens to her based on the fact that these pictures then are laid over the top of each other, but then there are little numbers on those pictures that then have to be lined up.
It's just
And
like, so, I mean, you can applaud it in one way because that was I was nowhere with it. I was looking at it upside down. I was
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing though. We as readers cannot do that. If you make the picture have to be looked at from a different angle, we can turn our e-reader or our book upside down. If you have to layer the pictures on top of one another, your reader cannot be part of that puzzle because that's not something that we can actually physically do with the book unless we do what he did and make copies of all the pictures and then lay them on top of one another.
Yeah. I
So
do think
again, the reveal was cool, but it wasn't me that worked it out because I was nowhere with it. I knew there was something weird about the pictures and I was trying to come up with an idea, but
mm,
it didn't make sense until you did the very specific thing that the character did that we couldn't do. And so I was just
mm,
being told again what the answer was.
I think at least I felt like the reveal was more solid.
Mm.
Um, then obviously as you get more pictures and things, you realize that these stories are interconnected and there are characters that appear in one mystery that appear in the other and everything. And do you think the woman at the end who's sort of like not behind it all, but like it's she's very much the overarching, do you think she just thinks, fucking hell, why am I haunted by art? Like, I didn't even take it as an elective. We have no idea if the woman behind all this stuff, like, or whatever, can draw. And she just seems
No.
to be, she seems to have been thwarted by the power of art. And maybe that's why the Conservatives are trying to cut art funding.
Maybe because they can see it coming down the line. This has been a
Yeah.
cautionary tale. I just feel like everybody was thinking about art though. Like everybody was in a really, like, in very sort of perilous situations, life-threatening situations, even being killed live, like literally being killed, and still were thinking, I'm going to draw a picture
Yeah.
because
Two
that's going to
blokes.
give you a clue.
Not to try and go too far into it, but two blokes are basically on a mountain. They've gone for a hike and they've gone to view this sort of mountain thing. One has gone to view the mountain to draw the mountain. I'm thinking of that William Shatner thing of when he does a dramatic reading of why is Captain Kirk climbing a mountain? He's climbing a mountain. Why is he climbing a mountain? To hug the mountain, to make love to the mountain. That is such an old reference. I'm so sorry for that. Anyway, and yeah, so he draws this mountain as he's being killed. Apparently, he's stuffed in a sleeping bag and like tagged, like taped around, and he somehow he takes he draws the picture of the sleeping bag to tell people that it's because he got killed in the day or something.
In the night, because, or in the day or in the night? In the night? In the day. I don't
I think,
remember. I think it was in the day because if you drew the picture
yeah.
at night, there would be no, you wouldn't be able to see it basically. But why someone
But
would assume that was going to be a clue as to when someone was murdered and not just a drawing someone had made at some point and had maybe left it there by mistake is such a reach. And also, why are his hands not in the sleeping bag? Why are their
yes.
hands free to draw pictures?
Um, yeah, and so then the second guy gets killed in the same way, and he draws a picture, and I, I,
The thing is, you worked it out, but is the next person going to work it out? Like, you're putting a lot of faith into these drawings.
and the second guy's drawing so shit compared to the first guy's.
I know, so shit, so shit. And to be fair, the murderer doesn't even see it as like a risk that it's going to reveal anything because they just leave it there. They don't give a shit about the drawings.
Yeah, yeah, and that's her folly all the way through, is that she doesn't give a shit about the drawings.
She doesn't see what's coming. That's it. She doesn't see the peril of art. You're right. Ah,
Yeah.
that I like to do. I like the mountain mystery because I kind of could see why we were then involved in it. I know I keep bringing it back to that, but I do think if you're going to write a puzzle box mystery, you have to give the reader something. You have to let
Mhm.
them work it out themselves because it's a sense of achievement and there with the characters and you're going through the mystery with them and you're working it all out, putting it all together. So there was an element of that with the mountain little the story with the mountain, because then you could think about,
Mhm.
okay, why have they drew that? What does that show us? And that, so that for me, that was actually quite effective. I actually found that my favorite of the stories.
Mm. Mine was the blog because I think that intrigued me the most.
Hmm.
Um, I think the second story, the story but there's a kid and he's drawing he draws an apartment and it's like a little smudgy wudge. And we're trying to figure out why the smudge is there, and then he disappears. Um, I think the problem with that is we're not just focusing on the picture for that. The kid also disappears, and then the woman who's looking after the kid also thinks they're being followed, and then the person comes, and then there's this whole thing. And that one was quite messy for me. That was
Hmm.
quite like, are we focusing on the kid here? Are we focusing on this? What's happening? Like, yeah. So, but no, I really like the blog one only because I was that freak that was like, oh, what is this second hidden meaning in this person's blog? In like
Yeah,
2004 or whatever.
it gave me those vibes of like stumbling across something online that seems quite innocuous to begin with, but then as you keep going with it, you're like, this is really quite unsettling. So I
Mm,
really did like the start. I also found the second story quite creepy as well, especially with the stalker like running up the stairs behind them, and
yeah,
that felt effective, but it just fell apart with how we had to connect all three together. I just don't think it was very seamlessly done.
I could see three and one,
Hmm.
and I suppose two exists because it involves the people directly, maybe. But yeah. I don't know. I think we talked about how we'd feel if we'd read Strange Pictures first,
Hmm.
but
I don't think I would have picked up Strange Houses, to be honest. And the next ones, did you say Strange Buildings? I think I would have probably
yes.
assumed it wasn't for me. Um,
Mm,
there was enough in Strange Houses that made me feel, oh yeah, I can get on board with this. I would like to know, I would like to read more of this. Not so much with Strange Pictures.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Will you read Strange Buildings?
I think I will eventually because it's a very short read and I'm quite interested to know what the kind of pictures are going to be this time, because obviously we've had floor plans, then we had drawings, like what are we going to have in Strange Buildings?
Well, that's it. It's almost. Is it going to be more floor plans because it's buildings? Is it
Architectural
going to?
drawings, maybe? I've got no idea.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that would be fun. We'll have to see. I don't think it comes out until. Actually, it might already be out. It'll definitely be out on point of recording. It's out 26th of February, so it's out in 2 days.
Ah, yeah, because it's the 24th today. Spoiler alert, you're seeing behind the curtain that we're not doing this in the right timeline anymore.
But
Yeah.
BTS guys, don't say we don't give you any.
So yes, it will be out by the time you hear this. So if this does sound like it's up your street, and I don't know why it would, because we have not said anything that cohesive or coherent about these books.
We have been as cohesive and coherent as Strange Pictures is. So,
So if you
um,
like that, then you can go and read that.
yeah.
I really want to hear the reviews. I'm keen to hear
Okay.
what other people think about these.
Yeah, I've focused mostly on Strange Houses, but we'll definitely go through some Strange Pictures as well because I think it's going to be roughly similar type things. I'm going to start with the 1 stars because I feel like yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of people thought it was so convoluted and a little far-fetched. I'm just wondering now whether, and I don't mean this as a criticism, whether it's a cultural thing. You know, thinking about Japanese literature and obviously the things that we know of, like in terms of ghost stories, like they are very supernatural, very strong, like the Ring, The Grudge.
Hmm.
Then also thinking about manga and how it's always so fantastical. Like
Hmm.
maybe there's a sort of a genre there that people take it with a pinch of salt because
Hmm.
it's meant to be, you know? So
Hmm.
maybe the
Yeah.
convoluted plot wouldn't be as much of a shock if you're reading it
Hmm.
in the East.
Yeah,
Um,
possibly.
And whereas our mysteries are very much locked room mysteries in stuffy English cottages and country houses, and
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that. But I wonder whether then, obviously, if I could say Agatha Christie was translated, other people would see it
Would it be
as,
received in the same way? Yeah, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
You're totally right.
Um,
It could be that.
Someone's even said in their review of Strange Houses, if you're going to read only one Uketsu book, I urge you to read Strange Pictures, which I would
Okay.
completely not agree with. Um, a lot of people have a problem or are laughing at the idea of like, I'm confused about the layout of the house. Let me call up my random friend. Random friend, hey, I have this highly far-fetched idea about why this house was built this way after looking at it for exactly 1 minute.
Yeah.
Um,
You're right though.
this
You
one's
are right. Japanese media is and a lot of times it is quite I think it's just like it really focuses on like entertainment value. You don't need to worry too
yeah.
much about like I think sometimes we are so keen to make things feel real and grounded in reality and gritty that if we see something that's not like that, then you're right. It's almost like that's far-fetched. But maybe it's like that's the joy of it. Like you don't need to just have fun with it. You don't need to worry about it too much.
Oh, very much so. I can, yeah, and just so we're aware, neither of us are saying this as a criticism of Japanese culture. Like it's if anything, a criticism of our culture and that we can't just have nice things. Um,
I think it's just
ultimately,
different. I think it is just different. But I know from like the dramas that I've watched and stuff, like, sometimes you just wouldn't see that style of writing in Western culture. It just isn't there. So you're right. I think there's probably just it's different, and we have our experience of what mysteries should be like, and a lot of the time they are. Well, there's loads of tropes in them, and there's no tropes like that in this because it is very much like here's the answer. This is what it is. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to believe that the friend would automatically assume murder house and it would be a murder house. Yeah, but is that fun, entertaining, and quick and punchy to
that's
read?
it.
Also, yes.
Does it cut out a lot of the gumph that we normally get of like, oh, maybe this is the right answer, maybe this is the right answer. What
Yeah,
about this one? No, this here. So maybe there's a reason they can be so short because they're not fucking around.
exactly. It's the
um,
answer. This is what it is. Yeah, no, you're totally right.
this is a really interesting one. Literally solved the whole thing just by sitting in their house thinking out loud. First insane thought was actually 100% right, didn't get one detail wrong. Obviously, that's what we said earlier. But this one's really interesting. Also, it makes no sense for the grandparents to have the murder passageways because why would the Branch family ever come to stay with them?
That's true.
So, just a bit of context here for Strange Houses. It all starts with this family where obviously they get cursed and the family splits into two, and they then have to, the family who all starts this has to kill members of the other Branch family,
Mhm.
or something bad happens.
It just said, I think it said it's a curse. There's a curse.
Yeah. Mm. But it's yeah, so that is a really yeah, and obviously the Branch families don't get on. I think did the Branch family one of the families killed the son of the other, or it's you're supposed to think they killed the son of the other and it was blamed on them, but actually the heir to this family killed them so that he wouldn't have competition. It's by the by. But yeah, this review is right. Why would the Branch family ever come to stay with them? Interesting.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there is any. No, you're right. No, that person's right. I can't. Well, and I can't think of it, so that might not be glaringly
Yeah.
obvious as a plot hole, but it seems like it is now that I'm thinking about
Um,
it.
Possible friend of or possible future friend of the podcast, Uketsu, could you get in touch and let us know?
Please
Um,
tell us.
yeah.
Um,
Um, another sort of one was it's just I don't even know what happened in this book, which I could it thankfully this review is not like go and read Strange Pictures, thankfully, because if you put Strange Houses and Strange Pictures up next to each other, I could tell you more about what happens in Strange Houses than I could in Strange Pictures. I could tell
Strange
you each
Houses has a
individual.
narrative. Like I can tell you what it was until about the end, because once we get to the reveal of the family and the curse and the way that people have to be killed.
Yeah, that's just offered to us up on a plate by the woman who has like what I find mad about that is this girl hasn't been home or whatever because her sister goes missing or whatever. She never finds her. She's sort of suspected to be the matriarch of this new murder house, modern murder house. Um, and you think she's in a sort of maybe trap there or whatever, and then this other woman who's investigating goes to her mum that she's estranged from, and this mum's like, oh yeah, basically, spoiler, I'm from the Branch family but nobody knows, and then I came and married into this family, and then your sister got with someone or went away and then got
Mhm.
with someone who then was like, yeah, I'll totally become part of the branch. I'll totally become part of the family. He took her name. And then he had sent her, the mother, this letter. And the mother's there, like, showing us the letter, but also telling us everything. Like, it's like no one has spoken to her in years. And she's just like, I will tell you everything about my life as long as you just sit down and have a cup of tea. Like, please, God, let me tell someone.
I know. And then I'm thinking, is that because it's so short? Like, is it we
Yeah,
just don't have time to sort of give you the little nods to what's going on throughout? So there has to be a point where everything is just revealed, like a bit like in Scooby-Doo, when, the person's mask comes off and then we get the kind of, this is everything that's happened to this point. Like, I don't know if that's maybe why it's like that, because it is quite short and snappy and it's the quickest way of doing it. I don't know if it's because we're being told the story after it happens, so we're just basically hearing exactly what this. I don't know, but it all felt really quite convenient. But again, it could just be because a lot of the kind of red herrings and stuff were taken out. Um,
yeah.
I-
Do you, I think it's something you said earlier in the episode really struck with me or stuck me. No, struck me or stuck with me. Jesus. Um, is that oh shit, I've forgotten it. Actually, it didn't stick with me that much. One sec. Oh God, I was too busy. I got too stuck on stuck with me and struck me. Um, was basically, oh, that's it. It's not actually about the mystery itself. We're not meant to solve the mystery. We're supposed to be with the characters and sort of sit with them and watch how they deal with it. But
Mhm.
then at the same time, we know nothing about these characters. And so I didn't feel a connection to them at all. So I feel like
Why
all
would
I
it
had
just
to
be
cling to
enough to
was,
watch them?
yeah,
Yeah.
all I had to cling to was the mystery. And like you said, up until
Yeah.
a point, up until they go and see Yuzuki's mum, I was like, "Whoa, this is cool. This is on board." But then to be spoon-fed this, and then I think I was on board again because I was like, when they say, "Who wrote the letter?" Though, are we sure it's the husband, or is he potentially the
Hmm.
body that was found without the hand in the first chapter? And
Hmm.
then it's like Kurakara says this to us, and then he just goes, "Oh, out of here!" and like moonwalks out of the door, and then you're just like, "Huh?" And that is all you're left with.
I know, I know. Yeah, we've said it already, but why do you need mystery books? Do you read mystery books because of the satisfaction of being able to solve the mystery? I think I do. I like
Mm.
when an author maybe repeats a word or a phrase or makes reference to something, and then you can go, oh, that was that person. That's them.
Right.
I don't think it's enough for me to just listen to other people solving a mystery who I have no connection to because I didn't feel connected to the characters because there just wasn't enough time. There wasn't enough time to get to know them.
Yeah. Um, interesting. I've got another one here that
Mhm.
I think we could really talk about. So they say there's no suspense. There was no suspense at all, which I think is sort of what you're saying of just like
Yeah.
we were just given the answers. But also, this person DNF'd the book. I'm like, it's 200 pages. How
Oh,
little
come
time
on,
do you
yeah.
have? Like,
There was no way I was DNFing it because I was intrigued and I enjoyed it. I just found that everything that I wanted to work out was worked out for me.
yeah, and too fast as well. So
Yeah.
maybe you enjoy the element of people being bumbling around because you're like, no, you fucking idiots. This is what it is.
Exactly.
The 1 stars for Strange Pictures, people are just saying they were baffled by the hype, that it was boring, surface level, and over explained. I
Okay.
think I wouldn't say surface level. I think some of that's a little unfair. They did say the characters have no depth whatsoever. I would say that's unfair. I would just say you don't get to meet enough of the characters for enough time. There's only one character that appears in, well, I suppose they're not really in the blog, they're more in the background for that, but like they do appear throughout maybe 2/3 of the book, and but we just don't know that it's the same person.
hmm I also think that what you don't get in this, that you get in a lot of other books, is that you don't get to see them before the story starts. So you don't get to
Hmm.
really get introduced to what they're like before they're impacted by the main catalyst of the story. So
Yes.
you're just thrown straight in when the action starts, you meet the characters basically, and that's the same for every character that you meet.
Yeah. I think this review of Strange Pictures is very unfair. It says almost insulting how stupid this book is. You'd have to be brain dead to buy into the Looney Tunes murder antics of these characters. But that's what I get for reading something written by a YouTuber. I think they've not even considered the potential culture shift, first of all, and also the fact that maybe I'm being a bit of an apologist here, but I think they're trying something new with this genre of doing a real visual representation. And I feel like a right dickhead being like, they just don't get it, you know? They just don't get
I
it.
know. I also just think it's really unfair to say that's what I get for reading something written by a YouTuber, as if like all YouTubers are just the exact same and they're all vapid and brainless. I think that's really unfair to say that. It just to me that
Yeah,
just completely like makes your entire point invalid then.
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not reading something by Aaron Paul or Jake Paul, whichever one of them is, which of the Pauls, I don't know.
Who's
I'm not reading
Aaron
something by
Paul?
them.
Who's Aaron Paul?
Is it Aaron who Jake Paul's like the stupid boxer, isn't he? And then he
Yeah,
also
Jake
went to
Paul's
the
one and Logan.
Oh, right. Is Aaron Paul the actor who was in Breaking Bad?
Possibly. I don't know.
Do you know what? We don't need to talk about that. But yeah, no, like, um, yeah, those two cunts. I'm not reading a book by them, and if I do, then I'll be 1 starring it, and then I'll be saying, "But that's what I get for reading something by a YouTuber because they're dickheads." Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I
but I
don't
don't think that
think you're
applies.
not going to say that's what I get for reading something by an actor, or that's what I get for reading something by an author, or a teacher, or anything. Like, I feel like the collective is unfair. So I think saying that, like, oh, what could I
Mm,
expect, is really unfair because, there's
yeah.
nuances to everything.
Um, as we said, we weren't going to spend as much time on Strange Pictures. I'm going to go straight into the 5 stars for Strange Pictures and then end
Hmm
with the 5 stars for Strange Houses. Um, this is a mind bender, and your participation is required. I mean, we've said the exact opposite in the sense that we did not feel the need to participate at all.
As a mind
Um,
bender, though, so fair.
and I, true, I suppose that is true of every book, mystery book. We don't need to participate. The answer will be told to us at one point or another. Um, because, we'll get to the end and we get, with anything. So I'm I feel like that section of the review is interesting. We don't need to participate in anything to enjoy it for sure. But yeah, no. Anyway, um, I think Strange Picture. A lot of the people are sort of focusing on the pictures element of it, which I like because that's the whole point. This is what sets this apart in terms of this genre. The logic grid puzzles in which you're only given a limited amount of time and clues and a bigger picture, and with the few clues you're given, you have to try and find details of that bigger picture. Um, it's like that. Harmless geek fun, which saved my life in many times of boredom. Do you know what? I mean, the save my life thing's a bit extreme, but
For
harmless geek
200
fun.
pages, how many times of boredom have you had?
Yeah. Um,
Fair.
people
You know
just
what?
people just had fun,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
I whilst I wouldn't be giving this a 5 star, I think I have a different perspective on it, having had us talk about it and maybe look at the reviews and realize that actually these are these are maybe not meant to be taken 100% seriously.
Yeah. I think they are they do what they do well, but they just maybe won't do what you expect if you're going into it thinking it's a whodunit and you've got to work it all out because that's not what it's about.
Yeah. Um, Dark family secrets are the theme to this ominous whodunit in which you, the reader, are a participant. People are. This isn't. I'm going back. This is back to Strange
They,
Houses.
they're
They definitely think.
participating.
They definitely think we have to be part of it. We don't. There's a very
No.
point of yeah. Uh, a unique and innovative perspective places the reader and author side by side. Have
Yeah,
we
but
missed something, Ace?
only as a like an observer. We don't
Were
get to
you going to say
participate.
voyeur? Were you going to say voyeur?
I was going to say voyeur.
You sex-minded
I know, I
kitty
thought it
cat.
was just
Why
a
did I
little
just
bit
say
too
that?
much of an insight into my psyche, and I just cycled back on it, went for observer.
You
But
just
I was gonna say
famous.
voyeur.
um, as with Strange Pictures, I read this in one day. There's such fun,
Mm,
twisted mysteries. Yeah,
yeah,
I think um I enjoyed reading books that make me wish the pages would never end, and this was definitely one of them. I'm not sure I agree with that. I was ready for this to end, especially when it got to certain points, and I was like, can we please just, yeah, can we roll on with this, do you think? I want us to talk about character, but to be perfectly honest, we've given you all. It's not
you don't get
there's
much.
no real focus on them. It's very much plot driven. And I suppose that's strange, actually, for something that connects characters so intrinsically in both books that they would we don't get a lot about characters, yet it is all about them and their motives for why they do things.
Okay, final thoughts, final muddled thoughts. This has been an interesting episode for us to record today, I think, because we've kind of unraveled the books as we've went. I think I've got a better feel for the books now that we've talked about them than I had on my own.
I think, yeah, we've almost given Uketsu their own. They can write a story about two people podcasting and talking about a mystery at the same time. So we do want some of that strange money though. So strange podcasts hitting your shelves in 2027. Uketsu, you do owe us. I'm not gonna be greedy. I'm gonna say 40%.
40% is fair. Yeah. 40%
Yeah,
is fair. Mm,
yeah.
hmm
Um, yeah, I think I still feel Strange Pictures was the weaker of the two.
hmm
Interesting for sure, but Strange Houses, like, yeah, I enjoyed. I still enjoyed.
I enjoyed it too. And I'm pleased that we did read both of them because it gave us a better feel for Ketsu as an author and the style of writing and these kind of books. And it's interesting that they are so different. It didn't feel that you were just reading a continuation of this of Strange Houses, Strange Pictures, and Strange Houses to me felt really different in their approach. And despite having some of the same characters in them, we've summed it up that one is going to give you all the information and you're going to have to find it out yourself, and the other one is going to basically just tell you the answers and you just need to kind of go along for the ride. So yeah, I liked it. I liked the kind of combination of the two, but definitely Strange Houses for me was the winner.
Yeah, agreed. I'm looking forward to Strange Buildings. The fact it comes out so quickly and we've had this conversation, I think I might read it quickly because they are very fast reads.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll probably say again.
Then yeah, they are really quick reads. They're
Oh
going to take you
yeah,
like maybe a few hours.
yeah, if that. See. So yeah, I want to be like, I think if you're interested in this, I think the very thing that makes it different is what makes it compelling to read. So I would recommend this to people. I think, oh, why not?
Oh, hang on. Little bit different. Strange Buildings is 384 pages.
Oh no,
Yeah, and there are 11 strange buildings this time.
that's put me off.
I know. How interesting that the thing that I think makes these stories stand out has been basically abandoned. That's strange. I thought they were all short, snappy. No, not the case with Strange Buildings.
Maybe then
Hmm.
it'll have more to offer.
I'm thinking that. I'm thinking, are we going to maybe feel more involved, more invested in the characters? Is there going to be an opportunity for us to make our own minds up about some of these clues that we get this time? Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? Not us, because I'm not reading it now.
No, I'm not reading it now. Maybe at the end of the
Excellent.
year we'll
Um,
revisit that. But yeah, I was going to read it like when it came out and be like, oh yeah, I'll dedicate an hour or two to that. That's fine. Yeah, no.
excellent. Yeah, I can't think of anything that's like it. Obviously, horror wise.
House of I need to get the name of the author, but House of Leaves has a similar vibe to it.
Um, if
Yeah.
you're, I think if you're looking for like books that provide visual aids and such, there's a book I have on my TBR here, which I cannot. Yeah, as you know, it's still in its packaging, so I cannot tell you that I've read it. It's called Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka. And it's sort of in itself a bit of a mystery, but then there's like documents in here and all sorts. So
Sounds pretty cool. There is another
yeah, it
book
does.
in the horror genre called Hidden Pictures, which I have read, by Jason Rekulak. And you were saying before, how do you get a jump scare in on page? And I think the way that this is written is as close to that as you're going to get. Because there's a lot of actual drawings in there that you don't notice that there's something unsettling or creepy until you look at it closely. So,
Well, there we
yeah.
go then.
Mm.
Big if true, Amy. Big if true.
Yeah, go for it. It's definitely though more what you would expect from a traditional mystery story, mystery horror,
Oh, okay.
definitely.
Okay. Okay. Well, there you go. Um, Next week,
Mm-hmm.
would
Mm-hmm.
you like to tell the people what we've
Yeah.
decided to read? Or what we're reading
We
next week?
we're going to read a book written by two authors. And you know that
Yep.
thing we said before where we were like, oh, that saves me right for reading a book by a YouTuber, reading a book by an author, reading a book by an actor. That's right. We're going to read a book by an actor. So Reese Witherspoon has partnered up with Harlan Coben, very famous crime novelist, and they're writing a book together and they've done it. And it's called Gone Before Goodbye, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I've watched a few Harlan Cobens like we all have.
Mhm.
Um I'm not 100% sure what Reese Witherspoon brings to the table. I know that she had a production company and
Mhm.
she does an awful lot of turning media into, sorry, books into visual mediums and stuff. So, yes, but at the same time, oh, do I think this is going to be any good? I'm already thinking no, but I would like to be proved wrong.
I don't know. There's an interesting in this in the book. There's a list of all the novels that Harlan Coben has written, and there are so many, so many. And then there's a little insight into what Reese Witherspoon has written. So Reese Witherspoon has written non-fiction and children's books. So there you go.
Has
Looks like
she?
this is her. Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I think her non-fiction is herself, like it's her kind of memoirs or something. It reads like that from the very long title. And then the children's books are a series with a character called Busy Betty.
Oh, right.
So,
Um,
yeah, I don't
Reese
know.
Witherspoon is Legally Blonde, isn't she?
Giselle Woods, yep.
That's it, right? Yeah, I always mix her up with somebody else.
And she's in Sweet Home Alabama.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
no, I know. Okay, yeah, yeah. I don't know who I mix her up with. I only ever know when I mix her up with them. Anyway, enough of my missing mistaken identities. Yes, so yeah, we'll see. I just speaking of far-fetched mysteries, that's all. Harlan Coben is almost like the Uketsu of the West.
Yes. And yeah, you can obviously check out lots of adaptations of Harlan Coben's books on Netflix. I believe Netflix must have the rights to adapting all of them because they seem to just be getting
Oh,
through them.
also, it seems as if Richard Armitage, there was a theory going around. I might have already told you about this, that Richard Armitage is actually Harlan Coben because he just somehow casts himself every time
No,
in each of
Richard
these.
Armitage, who's your man? What's his name? Who's the Irish actor that's in them all?
Oh, James Nesbitt.
James Nesbitt's in them all. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. They're all right. They're a mixed bag. I've definitely enjoyed some more than others, but I've seen a couple of
Mm.
them, so I'm keen to read. I haven't read a Harlan Coben book before, so I'm
No,
keen to
neither
get
have
into
I.
it. And we'll
Who
see where
knows?
Reese Witherspoon's influence comes in. We'll see if it feels
Yeah,
like two people have written it or what. It'll be interesting to read. So I'm keen to go for it.
excellent. Well, there we go. Another week has ended on shelf indulgence. We'll see you next week. And keep listening and happy reading.